This video is sponsored by Typer.
Whoa. Holy.
So when I look back on all of the Thanksgivings that I've ever cooked for, honestly, I think more about the mistakes that I've made than the successes. And I think the reason for that is Thanksgiving is pretty high pressure. This is a holiday built around a single meal, and it can be quite difficult to really get it right. So today I'm gonna be going over the 7 biggest mistakes I've made cooking for Thanksgiving over the years. And I'm gonna show you all of the remedies and the recipes and the mindset needed to counteract those mistakes so you can make your Thanksgiving this year a huge success. And the first mistake I made very early on was trying to be a Thanksgiving hero. And I'm sure a lot of you as passionate home cooks are guilty of this as well, or have been guilty at some point. Around 10 years ago, I would say is the first time my brother and I really took over the cooking duties of our Thanksgiving dinner. And we had a catering company at the time, and we really wanted to impress our family and friends and show off our skills. Let's just say our cooking ego at the time was very high. So we went all out for that first Thanksgiving and cooked an insane amount of dishes, probably like 20 dishes, which was such overkill. That's just completely unnecessary, really, for any meal. And I think growing up, there's just so much Thanksgiving brainwashing that this has to be the most lavish and ultimate feast you've ever seen. And yes, it certainly is a feast, but it doesn't have to be a medieval feast. You don't want to lose sense of just putting out a logically planned meal for your guests. So when I'm planning my menu, at the top, we've got a protein, maybe 2 depending on how many guests you have and how all out you want to go. Then I start thinking about all of those side dishes, and it doesn't have to be 10 of them. 4, 5, 6 side dishes will give you a nice balanced dinner. And then of course you start thinking about desserts, which we're actually going to get into later. And when we look at this breakdown, that's still a lot of dishes. So another mistake you do not want to make, that I certainly have made myself, is taking everything on yourself. Thanksgiving is a time to actually be with your friends and family, not just be completely stressed out with all of the things you have to make. So you need to put that cooking ego aside and divvy up some dishes. Potluck it out a little bit. Even if it's a few things to get off your plate, let some other people get involved, and it's gonna make your Thanksgiving so much more enjoyable. All right, the second biggest mistake is not shopping for your produce in season. This was an absolute game changer once I understood it, because at its core, Thanksgiving is really just the ultimate harvest holiday. It's about sharing that abundance that is happening this time of year in fall. And as I started shopping and cooking more in season and going to farmers markets, I realized I could just go to the market, pick out things that looked inspiring, and let the ingredients spur that initial creativity versus just thinking about what is a traditional Thanksgiving dish that I should be cooking. So for years when I was in the city, I'd be going to farmers markets. Now I have a garden and I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going through my garden, seeing what's available and turning those into Thanksgiving dishes. So I had some beautiful cauliflower. I picked 2 heads of that. I had some really nice broccoli as well coming in, so I picked some of that. My carrots are starting to get a little bigger, but I did have a few that I could pick. And definitely for Thanksgiving, you need a bunch of herbs, so I picked some rosemary and some thyme, a bunch of parsley. I've got a lot of lettuce and hardier greens like kale coming in, so I picked a bunch of that. And then on top of this harvest, I have more winter storage produce in the basement, so I'll be using a little squash, some onions, and some garlic. And wherever you live, for the most part, you're gonna be seeing similar in-season produce this time of year. So you can follow along exactly with the recipes I'm gonna show you today, but most importantly, start your creative journey right here with your in-season produce. All right, here we go. The third biggest mistake that you can make on Thanksgiving is making a turkey. Yes, I said it, but let me preface that with 2 things first. If you have a bunch of traditional police in your family, like Aunt Jane is gonna freak out if there's no turkey, you're gonna make a turkey, of course. You don't want extra drama at your Thanksgiving. Also, if you really like roasted turkey or deep fried turkey or smoked turkey, like that is your jam, make your turkey, of course. My dad says the same thing every year at Thanksgiving. If more people liked roasted turkey, they would eat it year round. Just think about that one. For me, I ended this traditional attachment to making turkeys about 5 years ago. So I've done short ribs, I've done smoked brisket, I've done just almost like crispy turkey thighs one year. But this year my parents requested a big prime rib roast. So I got this beautiful thing right here. This baby is about 6 pounds. Pretty much each rib you have on your roast will feed around 2 people. And I'm first gonna make a nice herb salt cure. So all of these beautiful fresh herbs that I've been getting in my garden, I've been drying them over the last few months for the winter. So I'll take some dried rosemary, sage, parsley, oregano. I've got some onion powder, peppercorns, and salt. And I'll grind that up to make my herb salt. And I'll first make some slits in the fat cap and just coat that entire prime rib roast in the herb salt. And then I'm gonna put that in the fridge overnight to dry brine and cure, which looks like this after 24 hours. Then to a roasting tray, I've got all of my Thanksgiving aromatics, my celery, carrots, I've got a few red onions, a full head of garlic, and a bunch of fresh herbs. And I'll pop that roast right on top, and I'm certainly not taking any risks with this expensive cut of meat, so I'm gonna insert my thermometers. Which brings me to today's sponsor, Typhor, and their new Typhor Sync Gold Dual. Now, I've personally been using Typhor thermometers for years now, and they've really elevated and fine-tuned my cooking process. For me, when I'm doing a big holiday like this, I'm gonna invest in a nice piece of meat. And having a good thermometer is the key to not screwing anything up. So for instance, the other day I bought a whole chicken that I was gonna roast. I blended up a bunch of fresh herbs from my garden with some garlic and then added in a butter to make a delicious herbaceous compound butter. And I smeared that all over the chicken. And what I love about this Typhor is that you've got the dual probes, so you can insert one into the light meat and one into the dark meat. So when I'm roasting, I can just set that optimal internal temp for each probe and pull that roasted chicken for perfectly cooked dark meat while still nailing down super juicy and tender chicken breast. So getting back to this roast, I inserted one probe in one side and the other probe in the other side because most ovens don't cook evenly, so I can monitor when to flip this roast around. And I set my oven for 250 degrees Fahrenheit to slow cook this roast until it hits an internal temp right around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course you can monitor everything directly on the device, but I love the Typhor app because I can just be out doing my thing and just get live updates directly to my phone. Not to mention, this is the first probe utilizing sub 1G transmission, giving it the longest range of any wireless thermometer. So if you're interested in this thermometer, Typhor's running a Black Friday sale, and you can use code LifebyMikeG to get 20% off your Typhor Sync Gold Dual. So it took around 3 hours for this roast to hit that temp of around 110 degrees. So I took it out of the oven and I increased the oven temp to 550 degrees Fahrenheit. While that was preheating, I scooped out all those aromatics, popped them in a saucepan, and poured in about 3 cups of chicken stock, which I then cooked down and reduced by about half. Then I strained all of those aromatics, and you can use fresh butter, but I did have some of that herb butter from the roasted chicken left over. So I emulsified that in to make a delicious herbaceous roasted gravy. And when the oven was preheated, I popped in the roast with the goal of getting a super crispy exterior and increasing that internal temp to the perfect medium rare, which took around 15 to 20 minutes.
Do you want turkey or do you want this thing right here? Whoa. Here's my herbaceous gravy. This is pre-Thanksgiving, so now I feel very ready to make this for the actual Thanksgiving.
It looks so good.
Carly's been kind of freaking out for the last, 5 hours? Yeah. Getting meat sweats just thinking about it. All right.
Yeah, I want this like crispier edge bit.
Oh my God. And just from the slow cook, like it really renders down. Needs like a little flaky salt.
I love that it's steak meat, but because you use the celery and the onion in the bottom,
whoa, that piece.
It has such a Thanksgiving flavor to it.
The whole time cooking it, you're getting the Thanksgiving essence through the house.
Yeah.
Because it is the same aromatics.
Yeah, and it's so much juicier and better than turkey.
Yes, yes. Don't be scared. Wow. I've never had prime rib like that. You know, like.
I don't think I have either.
I think that's the fun about Thanksgiving is, for me, I always just try new proteins. It's a time where you can really do something decadent and extreme to some extent. Like, when am I going to cook a prime rib roast?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to miss anything about turkey eating this.
Yeah.
It hits all that same, like, nostalgic, big piece of meat, rosemary, celery, onion, butter.
Yeah, that is so
wow.
good. Cooper's getting some of this.
Yeah, definitely. Wow.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
The fourth biggest mistake that I've made over the years is cooking too much on the spot. This is one of the easiest ways to stress yourself out and ruin your Thanksgiving. We want to be prepping as much of the food beforehand and thinking about dishes that can be served either cold or room temperature, or things that can be easily reheated like casseroles. And one casserole I'll be serving up this year that might make a great addition to your menu is this yummy, cheesy cauliflower and broccoli. This, of course, was inspired by what I had in the garden. And the first thing I did was cut up all of the cauliflower and broccoli into just little florets, sort of bite-sized pieces. And I got that blanching in some hot water for about 5 minutes to soften it up. And then I poured it off into some cold water. Now I had these nice honey nut squashes that I grew this summer, and I just needed one, which I peeled, de-seeded, and sliced up into little pieces, and got that cooking in some oil with a few garlic cloves until it was nice and soft. Then I added in a tablespoon of flour to create a roux, and slowly started emulsifying in 2 cups of whole milk to build out my sauce. And when it started to get thick, I blended everything up with my immersion blender. And you can see right here, this is basically a dairy-free cheese sauce. You can add some nutritional yeast to this and boom, you're good to go if you want to keep it dairy-free. But I am gonna add about 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese and mix that in. And what I really love is how the squash just lightens this dish up while still being pretty comforting. And I add in all of those blanched veggies to the sauce and give that a mix. Added that to my baking dish, grated on some cheese, and baked it at 375 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes until it was nice and golden brown. All right, 5th biggest mistake is buying this stuff right here. Comment in below if you are guilty or have some type of like childhood connection to canned cranberry sauce. This stuff sucks, yeah, I said it. And if you really like cranberry sauce, make it yourself. It's not that hard, but I do have a recipe for you that is so much easier that I make pretty much every Thanksgiving. That's a huge hit. I call it Thanksgiving salsa. Basically a cranberry relish just amped up a little bit. It still uses fresh cranberries, but all I have to do is take out a food processor, add in my fresh cranberries. I'm gonna add half of an orange with the skin on, the juice of half a lemon. I'll dice up an apple and add that to the mix. And I had this baby fennel in the garden, which I'll add, but if it's a large fennel that you're using, I would say use like 1/3 or 1/2 of it. I've got some fresh thyme, I'll throw that in. And I peeled a chunk of ginger and just chopped that up and threw that in. And most cranberry relish recipes on the internet use like 1 cup or 2 of sugar. Let's save that sugar for the dessert portion of the meal. I'm just gonna add about 1 to 2 tablespoons of sugar and some salt to season it up. And then I give that a pulse until you get this sort of salsa-like texture. And these flavors to me really encapsulate Thanksgiving and this nice burst of freshness that you can put on your plate and kind of eat with anything, which is why it kind of plays like a salsa and just really lightens up your meal. Which brings me right into the 6th biggest mistake, which is making your Thanksgiving meal too heavy. Again, we have been brainwashed to think that you have to like put your guests out. They should be eating turkey and sleeping on the couch after. Obviously, there's gonna be some indulgence to this meal. That is built in to some degree, but I think it's possible to keep things at a reasonable level. So since we have all of these comforting dishes already, I like to just serve a fresh salad up. It can be just a bunch of leaves with a nice dressing. We don't need a lot of ingredients since there's so much going on with the rest of our meal, but trust me, your guests will appreciate a nice salad mixed into the feast. Now, if you're looking for a great Thanksgiving all-purpose dressing, here's what you're gonna do. Take out a blender. I'm using my immersion blender. I'm gonna add in a few cloves of garlic, a fat tablespoon of mustard, 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar, 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar, a handful of parsley, a tablespoon of honey, and then I'll season that with salt and pepper and blend that until it's completely smooth. Then I'll start emulsifying in my oil, about 1/2 cup of it, and boom, you've got an herby vinaigrette that really will go well with any type of greens you serve. And maybe at this point you're asking yourself, Mike, where's the dessert? That brings me into my final mistake. Number 7, don't make dessert. I said it, don't make dessert. Now again, I've got to preface this one. If you love making desserts, of course, make a pie, make whatever Thanksgiving dessert you love. But if you are making a bunch of other dishes like myself, I'm in charge of making the meat this year and a few side dishes. It's all right to either give the dessert to someone who loves making desserts that can just focus on dessert, because making a pie from scratch is not an easy task. That can be stressful in its own right. Or actually outsource and just buy a dessert from your local bakery, someone you trust that's making like 100 of them, and they're gonna be perfect, and they're gonna save you a lot of stress and time, which means more time, less stress with your family. I think that is the key versus building out the most elaborate, greatest meal you've ever produced in your life. So hopefully all of these mistakes that I've made many times can help you from making some of these mistakes, and you can just have a wonderful, happy holidays with your friends and family, and I will see you on the other side.
So we cooked this turkey for the thumbnail, and I thought it'd be interesting to try it out, see how we feel about it versus a prime rib. I got some breast, got some dark meat.
It smells good.
Smells good.
Smells like Thanksgiving.
We put in top effort to this thing. We brined it.
Yep.
We've got an herb butter under the skin.
Yep, the mirepoix on the base. I basted it.
So there's some turkey breast.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good, but it's, to me, I'm like, I just wish it was chicken because I know it'd be more moist.
Yeah, it's
turkey.
It's turkey. It's good.
Good. I like the
I take it all back.
Yeah.
I just think about like if I filmed a video on turkey and
we
I
reviewed
just
it.
sit here and be like, this is the best
so good.
turkey that I ever have made.
I think the brine is really nice. It's like so salty all the way through. Turkey's just dry.
Yeah.
For a turkey, this is very moist.
Yeah, but not as good as a chicken.
No, it's just turkey. It's just turkey.
Check out the link below to get your Black Friday deal on the Typhert Gold Duel.